Welcome to Northwest Aerospace News Live. I am Jennifer Ferrero, a writer for the magazine and your host. In today's episode, we talk with Akhila Tadinada, CTO of Xemelgo, who has developed a smart factory suite of apps for manufacturers. They are featured in the June-July issue of the magazine. Let's welcome today's guest, Akhila. Welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for coming to the show. Well, please give us a big picture of what you offer to manufacturing companies and why it matters.
Yeah, I'm so excited to share that here with all this audience. So Xemelgo, we are a smart manufacturing software company. So we offer turnkey RFID-based software applications to track your inventory, work orders, assets, and shipments. So essentially a portfolio of apps to create the digital thread of the factory.
When you started the business, you and your partners invested much time in learning what manufacturers wanted. Tell us about that process and how you knew when you were ready to develop customer solutions.
Yeah, no, it was a very interesting journey. So Rich, my co-founder, and I, we came from Hitachi, where we were building a lot of digital solutions for machines. And so when we came out, we sort of started pitching similar solutions to manufacturers. And I don't think we were getting a lot of traction. So then we did what any good startup should do. So we just shut up and we started listening to what end user issues were. The Seattle community was amazing. We had so many mid-sized manufacturers that opened their doors, let us in, talk to us about their problems. And we were trying to see if there's a problem that was present throughout. And one thing we kept on hearing was, can you help me find things on the floor? And we were like, that doesn't seem like that big an issue. But then the more we dug into it, we realized that just the modern day solutions are not ready to give people real-time visibility. I think the way I explain it is like today's factories are like driving around with a paper map. Like you know where you're supposed to go, but you don't know if an accident happened. You don't know what your ETA is. Like you don't have a mobile app which is telling you how to drive. And what Xemelgo is trying to do is taking factories to real-time data and real-time information on the floor.
It sounds a lot like how we live our lives, where you have your phone and you can pull up Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever you're using, and it's the same thing. Then you're bringing that into the factory, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Well, on your website, you have solutions that include inventory management, asset tracking, work order management, and shipment tracking. Mm-hmm. Let's start with inventory management. What's a good story about how this technology improves inventory management?
Yeah, I think the way to think about inventory management is think of it like Amazon Go for the factory, right? Where you walk in, it's a cashier-less store, you come out, and all your inventory is updated in real time. So one of our very first and I would say favorite customers is the company called Key Compounding, based in Federal Way, and they had a big issue with not being able to know when they were running out of their PPE. So we started tracking their PPE in real time. So prior to that, they were using Kanban card systems. They had an inventory handler that would go around all day. Try to see, if they were running out of stock, go ahead and place an order. But what was happening is they would constantly be running out of stuff because people were not updating the systems. And as a result of that, they had to expedite, gloves. So, I have a $1 glove, but now I have to pay $10 or $50 in order to expedite it, right? So you were paying a ton in expedite fees. So we sort of change that to real-time inventory. So now they know how much is there at any point of time. And they also get a report which says this is what you're supposed to be ordering so you don't run out of stock, right? So it completely flipped. Instead of people spending hours, days, or in some cases, big companies spend weeks. They have shutdowns for weeks just to count their inventory and be accurate. Now, all of that time is saved because you don't have to do manual counts anymore. But the efficiencies that it gives to your business, because now you can be confident that I have enough inventory to satisfy my customers' demand. I think that confidence is what really changes the game for businesses. Yeah.
So, Akhila, I'd like to ask a follow-up question to that. For companies that have legacy employees that have been there a long time, how have they adapted to a technology like that in the inventory management department?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. And at Xemelgo, we have focused very, very hard on taking the burden away from the worker. So if you were to ask us what's our mission in life, our mission is to allow these factory floor operators to do what they do best, which is make things, and not have to spend their time counting or writing in Excel files. So we use sensors which automatically track the movement of inventory and automatically update the systems. So the burden is completely taken over from the operator. Like I remember our very initial install, there was a factory floor operator that walked up to us, shook our hands, and said, "Thank you for taking us to the 21st century." And I think that was like the biggest day for me, because I was like, okay, we are having meaningful impact on the lives of these workers by allowing them to do high value work, also work that they would get paid more for, right? That's another big thing, right? You don't, you won't get paid 20-25 dollars an hour for just entering information, but if we can take that away, these people can move higher up in the chain too. So I love it. I mean, I'm on the floor working with these operators all the time, getting feedback from them, and they're very, very engaged because it's easy. Why do everybody has a phone now, and everybody can figure out how to Uber, how to DoorDash, how to use Google Maps, and that's exactly what Xemelgo is doing to the floor.
Well, it certainly sounds like a game changer. Can you tell us about asset tracking and work order management, and what's an example of how that works?
Yeah. So, in factories, I think I met somebody at a big aerospace company once who said, "We know when things come out, we know when things go out. Everything in between was mostly a black box." So there is, traditional barcoding where people will go in and, anytime they work on an order, they enter that into the ERP system. But unfortunately, all the time in between, when work orders are sitting in staging, or when tools are sort of, moved off of their position that they're supposed to be in, people have no visibility into it, right? And I'm not making this number up. I have talked to so many manufacturers that can spend anywhere from 3 to 8 hours per person each day trying to look for work orders, trying to look for assets on the floor, trying to look for that one expedited order that the customer asked for. And that just reduces productivity so much on the floor, because again, people are spending time doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. I was once at a company down in Tacoma. Everybody from the general manager down was on the floor looking for a part, because it was an expedited part and nobody could find where it was kept, right? And so you just, the amount of dollars lost there. So with the Xemelgo solution, you basically place an RFID tag on your part, your work order traveler, or your tool, and as it moves through the process, it's automatically updated saying this is where it was last seen, and then you can quickly go find it on the floor. And then once you have that data, I mean, the beauty of it is now you can actually use that to make real-time decisions on the floor. Hey, am I running ahead? Am I running behind? What areas are bottlenecked? And most of this, for people to figure out, they had to run reports, and they would know it, a day or a week later. But now people on the floor are empowered to know, hey, I'm not hitting my throughput for the day. I need to speed up, or I need to ask for help so that I can start doing things faster, right? So it starts with eliminating the time spent looking for things, but then it eventually transforms to being able to run a real-time factory.
Well, sounds like it'd be really helpful, especially if you lose your keys as you're about to go out the door of your house.
Yeah, my daughters want to put tags on all of their toys because they're constantly losing them. So.
Well, can you please share a success story or case study to help people really understand the benefits of the solution?
Yeah, I would say one of our really cool partners in the Seattle area is AEROSPACE. We've been working with them on co-creating the solution for almost 3+ years now. And they actually just recently got nominated for RFID Journal, implement an award for their implementation, and this was sort of a global award. So it's a really cool team, and I think they're more than happy to host people. So if anybody wants to go out there and see it live. But one of my favorite use cases is the first use case that we started with, where they had to ship these molds from one facility to the other. And what was happening was, either the molds were getting broken in transit, or they were losing track of them. It got left behind at the facility. And there was a lot of back and forth, finger pointing. Where is it? I don't have it. And then they moved to a barcoding solution. And even though the barcoding solution sort of helped, people on the floor hated it because everybody was spending 3+ hours each day just barcoding things, and they were shipping 400, 500 parts a day. So imagine the amount of time that was going into it. And then we moved to a completely RFID based solution where now, they just put all of their parts on a cart. They all have an RFID label on it. They push it out of the dock doors. It automatically gets updated saying it left this facility, arrives at the other dock door, will say, hey, did everything that leave arrive or not? And there's a digital trail. So there's no more finger pointing. People go, they can search for it. Here's where it was last seen. So all of those questions were eliminated. But more than that, the productivity gains that they saw, because people no longer had to search for parts, they were no longer barcoding. They went from 3 parts per person to 11 parts per person. And that's just, that's more than like close to 4x productivity gains. And it's unheard of, in the industry. But that's a very simple example. And since then, they have expanded to pretty much create a visual factory where every single workstation has been lit up. And the way they change their factory has changed. More than that, I think now when they go to their end customer and present themselves to their end customer, they're no longer just competing with other companies in the space on, price. Now they are a digital first company. And so the way the end customer looks at them is like, oh, you know where your parts are. You have complete traceability of things. If I call you, I can get real-time information. So the serviceability of their offering is so much better than everybody else's, that they're winning bigger contracts now just because people see them as a digital first company as compared to, another competitor in the space.
That was a great example. Thank you for sharing that. And boy, we're almost out of time for today's broadcast. I just want to wrap up with one last quick question. Do your products help solve the workforce challenges that a lot of these factories are having?
I completely, right? So like I said, what do you want your people to be doing? Do you want them to be doing the low value work or the high value work? And like Xemelgo eliminates all the low value work, so you can sort of re-embed your workforce to work on the high value work. I think the other part is millennials want digital first solutions. Millennials don't want to be working with the older solutions. They want a factory which is forward thinking, right? If they had a choice to pick between an Amazon warehouse or a space company, unfortunately, they're picking the Amazon warehouse in a lot of cases, right? And we need to flip that. We, as a combined manufacturing and manufacturing services companies, have to flip that and make manufacturing sort of cool again, right? For these millennials. And like, there's so much amazing stuff. Like, I am amazed at the manufacturers that I meet and the talent that they have and the things that they produce. We just have to eliminate all of these efficiencies and just make it cool again for our next generation to come and want to work there. And particularly with all the onshoring and everything that's going on, I think we all just need to collectively double down and figure out how to make manufacturing sort of come back and become, and have people understand. I mean, it's always been cool, but have people understand like what is involved in making all of these amazing things that manufacturers do day in and day out.
Akhila, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to learn more about Xemelgo, check out xemelgo.com and subscribe to Northwest Aerospace News to get the article in the upcoming June-July issue. Until next time, keep engaging with the manufacturing and aerospace news you need to know in the Northwest with Northwest Aerospace News Magazine. Goodbye.